Joining us now, we've got Ross Barkan. He is the author of the brand new book that you should 100% go out and get. It is called The Prince Andrew Cuomo, Coronavirus and the Fall of New York. He is also a contributor to The Nation and is our personal resident advisor on the insane New York City mayoral race. Great to see you, Ross.
Good to see you, Ross.
Great to be back and being the first Breaking Points repeat cast.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a big
very
deal.
special ground. Just for people who haven't been following this closely this week, last time we covered the New York City mayor's race here, just after the primary occurred, it looked very much like Eric Adams had romped and was headed towards being the next mayor of New York, although we did say, look, there's an outside chance either Maya Wiley or Katherine Garcia could make up that gap as the ranked choice ballots are counted. What has transpired since then, Ross?
So since then, the Board of Elections in New York City has run its first ranked choice voting tabulation. And that was not a straightforward process. What happened was it was supposed to be released yesterday, and then it was, and it turned out the very incompetent Board of Elections included dummy ballots or fake ballots in the tabulation, about 100,000 or so, because they'd been testing the system and forgot to remove them. So they released a preliminary result yesterday that was not quite correct. They had to withdraw it from the website and then did another tabulation. I should say yesterday we got the correct tabulation. 2 days ago we got the incorrect tabulation. Time is flowing in a very odd way these days. So as of now, the race has changed. Eric Adams had a very significant lead among first place voters, but the ranked choice tabulation showed that Katherine Garcia is within 2 points of defeating him. I think the margin is about 15,000 votes or so, and there are about 120 plus thousand absentee ballots that must still be counted, that will be counted by July 6th. That's the plan right now.
Got it. So we have this New York BOE tweet. Let's put it up there. I still don't really understand what the hell is going on. So 135,000 votes, which were not real votes, were included. Is that correct? As in they were running a simulation and then they changed the results. So what are the actual results? Like, do we have a good idea of where things stand right now?
Yes. So we now have the actual results based on everything but absentee ballots. To tell you the truth, the easiest thing would have been done to wait until with the absentee ballots. New York State has a law that you can't count absentee ballots until after Election Day, which is really stupid, but that's the law. So what we really should have been doing is waiting until after those ballots were counted.
Right.
So right now we do have an accurate ranked choice simulation of all in-person votes, basically all in-person votes, early votes in person, and that shows a very tight race between Garcia and Adams, and Wiley actually came pretty close in the ranked choice simulation, coming out ahead of Garcia. She fell back. So the absentees could change things. I mean, that's the big thing right now. The absentees could give Katherine Garcia the Democratic nomination, make her the next mayor. Very possible. Also, this race could go to court. If the margin is close enough, you could be litigating these ballots in court. There could be a recount. So that may happen as well.
And
right.
I just want to make it really clear to people. The problem here was not ranked choice voting, okay? Which is a little bit of a complex system, albeit, but plenty of localities have been able to manage this just fine. The problem is with the New York City Board of Elections, which I want to get to in just 1 minute. But the other question I had on the specifics of the results is there seems to be an expectation that in the, 130,000 or so absentee ballots that remain, that there's a good chance Katherine Garcia may have an edge there, that those ballots may be rather good for her. Why is that the expectation, Ross, and is that correct?
I think that is correct. So while more ballots are outstanding from areas that Eric Adams won, Eric Adams won a lot more assembly districts than Garcia on Election Day anyway, and the actual proportion of ballots outstanding is more tilted toward Garcia relative to the Election Day outcome. Also take in the factor that typically it's more affluent people, older people who are doing absentee balloting, especially now with COVID, and it's pretty possible that Garcia could be winning 60% of the remaining absentees. It's not a guarantee. It's not anything close to that, but it's not impossible that she could make up this margin when everything gets counted.
Got it.
Another question for you. You've written that even though Katherine Garcia and Eric Adams, they ran on very similar platforms. Obviously, stylistically, they're very different. Why do you think that if you're a progressive, and your choices are just Katherine Garcia and Eric Adams, if that ends up in fact being the case, why do you think you should be cheering for Katherine Garcia given that their platform was similar?
Sure. So yes, definitely Katherine Garcia and Eric Adams ran on very similar platforms, very against the funding the police, for charter school, aid, pro-life all that stuff, right? I think they're both neoliberal in orientation. I'd say the difference is Garcia would be a much weaker mayor in terms of that she would come into office without any real strong institutional ties, without strong coalitions. You could probably dangle the threat of a primary challenge over her. I think Eric Adams, as a black man, would be very hard to primary just based on how he has gathered up his votes, based on his ties to organized labor. Garcia is different. I also think Garcia would be more amenable to compromise because though she is more conservative than Bill de Blasio, she worked in his administration. Many of Bill de Blasio's staffers are volunteering and working in her campaign. It's not hard to imagine Garcia actually being forced to pivot to the left as mayor, especially since many of the people who voted for her self-identify as progressive. She won liberal Manhattan. She won the Upper West Side. She mentally won people who otherwise would call themselves progressive, would have voted for Bernie Sanders, even Elizabeth Warren. So you're going to probably have to adjust to that reality. Whereas Eric Adams is very insulated from pressure. I've been saying this for a long time. He's built a very strong coalition, and he's not someone who really has to listen to people. He doesn't necessarily have a history of listening, and he won't be afraid to go after his enemies. Garcia doesn't really have many enemies, have many vendettas. She fundamentally has a different temperament. So I do think for the left, she's much more manageable, if that makes sense.
And so, Ross, final question here on my end. When are we going to know? When will we know about who will be the mayor?
So right now, election results are set to be certified July 12th. I think you'll have some idea after July 6th when absentee ballots are included in the ranked choice voting tabulation. But here's the catch. If the margin is very close, very close, than a few thousand votes, which everything is on the table right now, this can go to court. It happened a few years ago in the Queens District Attorney's race, if you recall. That had a manual recount that was being litigated. And then a few months later, Melinda Katz was certified the winner over Tiffany Caban. We've never had a mayor's race this close. We've never had a mayor's race enter a recount. I still think that is not super likely, but I do think court action is the outcome here. So on one hand, July 12th will be the original moment of clarity. On the other hand, if you told me this was in court and we're fighting this out all summer, I would not be shocked at this point.
Got it.
I've got two more for you. First one is Eric Adams hasn't been shy. This is something you've written about too, in weaponizing his race in order to both protect himself from criticism and also to allege there's some sort of scheme originally between Katherine Garcia and Andrew Yang to disenfranchise black and brown voters in the city. If we do have a situation where Katherine Garcia makes a comeback once the ranked choice votes are tabulated, what sort of a stink is he gonna, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna do? What are the expectations for how he will respond?
Every sign points to Eric Adams denying the outcome or not accepting it if Garcia pulls ahead. Now, some of that is logical. If the race is close enough, you do take it to court. That's understandable. But even if I think it's not that close, if Garcia really makes up the difference in absentees and pulls way ahead, Eric Adams is someone who's a deep skeptic of ranked choice voting. Many of his surrogates believe erroneously it disenfranchises black candidates. Not true. Eric Adams called an alliance between Yang and Garcia voter suppression, which was quite frankly insane. And this is really Eric Adams' playbook. He is incendiary. He does rile people up. He is canny. and he is cynical, and he weaponizes identity, he weaponizes situations, and so it would not surprise me if he is out there Trump-like, not accepting the outcome of an election, right? I'm not guaranteeing that. He could accept it quietly and surprise all of us, or maybe he'll still win, right? A lot on the table. I do the thing, if you really want to get ahead of yourself, right? If Garcia does manage to win, a white woman beating a black man, Eric Adams will have the power to make her mayorality very difficult, particularly have won a coalition without and Latino.
All right, last question from me. What the hell is wrong with the New York City Board of Elections?
The New York City Board of Elections, like the state Board of Elections and like a board of elections across the state, one is a state agency and not the city agency. So New York City itself has no power to really fix or change it. And two, it is controlled by the Republican and Democratic parties in a very old-fashioned and bizarre system of patronage that dates back to the Tammany Hall era. So basically, everyone who works at the Board of Elections is an appointee of either the local Democratic or Republican parties. They're friends of elected officials. They're friends of district leaders. They're friends of people who are well connected. There's no civil service exam. Your resume doesn't really matter. And that's what happens when you staff an entire agency with patronage appointees. You get incompetence. And we've seen this over and over and over again from 2016. Democrats getting accidentally purged from the rolls in Brooklyn. You had ballot scanner failures in 2018. You had wrong absentee ballots mailed out in 2020. Andrew Cuomo and the state legislature can fix this. They never have. They've never shown a real interest. Cuomo, of course, does not care, but the legislature has to step up too, because it's a constitutional amendment that would actually change this bipartisan patronage structure of the Board of Elections. And in order to pass a constitutional amendment, it's got to go through the legislature twice, and you don't need the governor's signature. So the leaders of the Democratic conferences in Albany have also been entirely missing in action. It seems like now this may be the event that precipitates change at the Board of Elections. I've seen this movie before. Perhaps the failure in a mayoral race will convince politicians to do something, because it really is a travesty. It's been that way for many years. None of this is new.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ross, thank you so much. It's so great to have your expertise on this. We're really grateful.
Thank you, Ross. We appreciate it, man. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Just a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the entire show completely uncut, delivered to your inbox an hour early. Listen to that as well. Participate in weekly Ask Me Anythings that we have to record today, and all sorts of other awesome stuff. You become a lifetime member, you'll get your name in the credit section and on a plaque, which we are dealing with the plaque situation. Lifetime members, stay tuned. You're going to get an update today on what exactly the hell is going on there. We love all of you, and we will see you all next week.
Yeah, we got a little special video coming for our lifetime members with what we think we're going to do in terms of a plaque to make it work on the set. Which we
ordered some. Turns out there's too many.
There's too many of you. We're diligently working on that. Listen, guys, we appreciate all of you all so much, whether you're a lifetime member, a premium subscriber, or just someone who's watching the clips on YouTube or picking up the podcast. Actually, the podcast response is kind of blown me away. We didn't really expect that. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you back here. Actually, we'll have some programming for you.
We will have programming note for you guys. We have programming for you guys over the weekend. Monday's a federal holiday. We won't be here doing a show. We will be back on Tuesday. So full show right here back on Tuesday, but we will have content spread out throughout the week. Podcast people, if you're listening, that content's going to be up on YouTube. So stay tuned.
There you go. All right, guys. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Happy 4th, and we'll see you back here next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.